Piolo, welcome to CNN Philippines.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, sir.
Piolo, Crisostomo Ibarra is an iconic character of our great national hero, Jose Rizal, in his novel Noli Me Tangere. What is the significance of Ibarra to Piolo Pascual?
I grew up, when I read Noli Me Tangere in high school, it struck a chord. That's when I felt my being a Filipino, being the alter ego of Rizal. It spoke so much to me in terms of the love for country, in terms of what you're fighting for. And at a young age, I felt as if I had to do something about this book. By the way, I taught Noli Me Tangere because I was so in love with the novel. During the teacher students week, they chose me to teach Noli Me Tangere, the book. And from then on, I was always in the back of my head, I have to do this. The significance of Crisostomo Ibarra for me is he is a representation of every Filipino that wants to do something for the country, that wants change, that wants revolution in a good way.
Piolo, are there any similar characteristics between Crisostomo Ibarra and Piolo Pascual?
A lot.
Oh. What are they?
I guess first and foremost, it's the love for the country, being a Filipino, and fighting for freedom, fighting for the freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and independence. Knowing that you're able to have your voice be heard, and knowing that you can say your piece and be heard, and not just. I grew up being apolitical, I guess, and at the same time, I still don't want to be involved in politics. But as an entertainment person, as an actor, I want my voice to be heard as a Filipino citizen. That's why I'm using this platform. And being Crisostomo Ibarra, I admired his bravery. I admired that he went to Spain to get his education and his ideals, but at the same time, to fight the oppressors of our country. Just the same, I want my independence. I want to call my native land my own. So I'm proud of where I'm from, what I am, being a Filipino, and I want to fight for that. I think that's our similarity.
The Filipino is worth dying for, Piolo.
Exactly. It resonates in Ninoy as well. It's how Crisostomo Ibarra was in the book. Same thing with Ninoy.
When people will be watching Ibarra the musical, what do you want for them to take home after they watch this musical stage play?
Yes.
What message?
Today, when I did the matinee at 3 o'clock, I was emotional because he, in a nutshell, he came from studying in Spain with his ideals, wanting to change the plight of his countrymen. And I want them to take home with them the love for your country, knowing that you can do something. Because we've grown kind of apathetic with what's happening because, as long as we are able to eat every day, as long as we have a democratic country, but we can do more. And watching this play, it's a vicious cycle. We've been oppressed by so many different races, so many different cultures. I guess it's about time that we remind present generation that they can do it, they can make a difference. They can do something to change the kind of landscape that we are in. But for the generation, especially now, I want them to be reminded of the story of Rizal, using Noli Me Tangere as a pseudonym, being Crisostomo Ibarra. And I want that to change. I want people to be aware of our present situation and do something about it. Make a change, have our voices be heard.
And you talk about the present generation, Piolo, and those are the Gen Zs,
Gen Z.
right?
Yeah.
Do you think by watching Ibarra the musical, by learning more about Jose Rizal and Crisostomo Ibarra, they'll be more aware of the issues and the problems that we currently face right now?
Yes, Noli Me Tangere is a book. It's a long novel, but we chose the right scenes we're in. It may strike a chord. It may touch your heart, knowing, oh, actually this is happening until now, and this happened in the 1800s, more than 100 years ago. As much as we are celebrating our 125th year of independence, people have to know that there's a problem in our country, that there's something that we can do. There's a change that we can be an initiative for that change. So if they watch it, they'll be reminded that, oh, it's not just about social media, but we can always embrace our culture by doing something for our advancement, for them to know and love our passport, love our
That's
citizenship,
right.
love being Filipino, and not be influenced by colonial mentality.
Yeah. And not just be apathetic, stay on the
Yeah,
sidelines,
yeah.
be fence sitters.
Yes.
We have to go out there and make our
Yeah.
voices heard.
Exactly, exactly.
But do you think the youth of today is making that happen?
I guess it's already started during the campaign last year. A lot of people were more aggressive and more proactive, knowing that one way or another they can do something for that change to happen. The problem with our fellow men is that I might be the only one who feels this way. I might be the only one that wants change, but if we just put it out there and we have people around us that have the same beliefs, that can make a difference.
Let's take a look at Piolo Pascual backstage. How did you prepare for this role of Crisostomo Ibarra?
First thing I did after being anxious and having sleepless nights was to just really dig deep. The other day I went to Fort Santiago and been reading a lot about Noli Me Tangere, about Rizal, about the book, and about the oppression. As an actor, I would read the story, the script over and over until I really discovered things that I never knew actually existed. And up to now, I'm still learning. So backstage, I still read my script, I still review the videos I've done the day before, and I try to understand it. It's always there's always something to be learned every day, every show.
How comfortable are you on the musical stage, now having done several performances of Ibarra the Musical?
Way that I'm able to explore more and understand him better, understand the story better, understand what we are fighting for. That's why I was emotional yesterday. I almost, well, I teared up. I almost couldn't sing because I felt his anger, I felt his grief, I felt his frustration over the fact that he wasn't being helped by his fellow men. He was alone in his fight. So I felt that he didn't have any allies back then. So it's coming from being educated in Spain for 7 years and having these ideals, trying to elevate the education, knowledge, and information that the Filipinos can have. He wasn't supported at all. And that was where my pain was coming from as Crisostomo Ibarra.
And now that you've done the musical stage, how different is it as an actor to do film, teleseries, soap operas, and musicals?
It's a totally different. So it's my gosh, the discipline. I've been sober for a month. I always sleep like 8, 9, never sleep later than 12. I do 6 to 8 hours. There's so much discipline, commitment, and a lot of just really focusing on the material. With film, it's a journey, yes, but you're done in three weeks. You know where it starts and how it ends. With soap, it's kind of a bread trip, but at the same time, you're taping every other day and the story progresses as you are taping. But with this, it's a ready script.
Yeah.
And what I realized, I thought it's just kind of redundant because you're doing it every show. But I realized actually there's something to be discovered every time you do the show. Every show is different.
And there's no room for error.
Aside from there's no
Or you wing
room
it.
for error, of course you wing it, but it just flows.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, after I memorized the lines, the songs, it was just coming out naturally. I was more concerned with my blocking. I was more concerned with my environment. It was constantly growing in such a sense that I was feeling my co-actors. I was working with them. I was interacting with them, and I was using the venue as my backdrop. When I went to Fort Santiago and I saw the adobe, all the bricks there, all the prison cells, and I used that. I used that as my imagination as to where I am in the certain scenes.
And what is your most favorite part of Ibarra the Musical?
It has to be the hardest, which is Reforma or Revolution, which is reform or revolution. those two choices. What are you gonna do?
Change
What are
or
you gonna
fight.
choose? Yes, exactly. And that was my conflict, and that was the hardest. And of course, the love for the country.
And Piolo, if you were, I mean, playing in a stage musical was on your bucket list, but did you ever dream that you would be playing Crisostomo Ibarra?
I did Simon for Love Diaz's Hele sa Hiwagang Hapis with John Lloyd Cruz. Love Diaz made us recite Mi Ultimo Dios. I recited it in Spanish, he recited it in Tagalog, and that was my first introduction to Rizal in the form of the arts. But doing Crisostomo Ibarra for Noli Me Tangere was a dream come true for me. Back in high school, I always felt that there would come a time that I'd be doing Noli Me Tangere or Crisostomo Ibarra for that matter. And more than 20 years after, here I am.
If you were not playing the role of Crisostomo Ibarra in Ibarra the Musical, what other roles would you still want to play on the musical stage? Oh,
The Pinoy version
Oh.
of it. I believe Freddy Santos.
yes,
did Pinoy,
the late Freddy Santos.
So he's been wanting me to do it. So he's gonna watch next week and he's gonna offer me that. That's what Tito Mario told me. He wants me to do Hamlet. So we'll cross the bridge when we get there. I don't mind doing Shakespeare if I have the time for it.
To be or not to be? That is the
Exactly,
question.
yeah.
All the world's a stage.
You
William
yourself
Shakespeare.
know that. Once you're bitten by the bug, you always
Yes.
go back to it.
Piolo, if there was one Broadway or West End musical that you would like to star in, which musical would that be?
If I may just share about my influence, it would have to be Les Miserables. Because of Les Miserables, I got so fascinated by the whole musical world. And then last year, I was in New York in November. I saw Hugh Jackman's The Music Man, and he's in his 50s. He's like maybe mid 50s. He was tap dancing, he was singing, he was dancing on the stage. I was like, this guy can do it.
Yeah.
Why can't I?
Yeah.
And that's why I said when this was offered, yeah, I'd do it. So if there's a chance, I'd like to do Les Mis.
Les Miserables.
Yeah.
And would you like to play the role of Jean Valjean or the antagonist Javert?
I guess with my vocal range, I would have to settle for Marius.
Marius.
Yeah, Marius. Yeah, siguro when I'm a bit older, when I'm more experienced.
More mature
yeah,
voice.
Vocally, yes. But in reality, I'm sure it'll be a bit of a stretch for me to be able to do those two big roles. But Marius for now.
But if you would do one of those two big roles when your voice has
Jean
matured, Jean Valjean.
Jean Valjean.
Jean Valjean. And where would you put yourself right now in terms of your vocal range?
I have learned so much, being led by these two opera voice coaches. They've been teaching me every day to the point that I lost my voice. And I'm coming from pop, pop singing. So they've taught me how to use different placements. Now I'm able to do Broadway classical and use different placements when I sing. So that I can carry with me as I do my concerts after this.
And Piolo, please invite our viewers on CNN Philippines to watch Ibarra the Musical.
Yes, hi guys. I'd like to invite you to please come and watch the last leg of our first run of Ibarra the Musical happening here at the GSIS Theater. June, today is, the next week, our last 5 shows. We only have 5 remaining shows. Please do catch it. If you want to know more about our culture, about our history, about our heritage, come celebrate with us our independence in the Philippines. Watch Ibarra the Musical, please.
Let us celebrate Filipino culture and our Filipino heritage with Piolo Pascual, the star of Ibarra the Musical. Piolo, thank you so much for joining us in the final word on CNN Philippines.
Thank you, sir.